one of those topics that may be interesting to absolutely no one, and I'll get, instead of 16 views, I'll get 14 views, and I'll be crushed inside, deeply crushed, hurt, pained. Anyway, it's comic shops. So, comic shops have games and comics and Funko and all that kind of junk. But one thing that most comic shops don't have is food. There's been a couple of attempts in recent times to have a coffee kind of barista there in the comic shop, and they haven't really gone anywhere. And I think there's a couple reasons why, but I still think it's a really good idea. And so, the question, somebody brought this up on Twitter. It's like, hey, could you ever combine like a restaurant and a comic shop? Well, a restaurant, no. I think if you're full table service restaurant, I think that is difficult to combine with comics. It could be done. You could do the themed kind of restaurant, but then you really have a restaurant with some comics, as opposed to a comic shop that's a restaurant. So the alternative to that is what they call in the biz quick service, or coffee, kind of food and drinks. Anytime you're going to have actual food, so things being cooked or fried, then you've got kind of a number of problems. You got expiring stock. You got food service validation you have to do. You have health code stuff you have to worry about, and you have the smell. Like, what if imagine like a nice, you know really greasy hamburger joint in a comic shop, and everybody who buys the comics there is going to walk home. You're like, no, it smells like a burger. I don't know. Maybe that'd be a plus for for some people. I don't know, but I don't think that's a good combo. Whereas a coffee shop or even a bakery, the problem is expiring goods. So expiring food is just not the best plan. It gives you one more thing to worry about. But if you're going to have environment, and I think it takes some work, takes some coordination. Most of all, takes a lot of money to get it started up. If you were to create a kind of coffee barista, tea, drinks kind of area, a number of couches and easy chairs, a number of places to sit and kind of relax, like a coffee shop. So think Starbucks, but think independent. And then think about one where you have a nice, comfortable environment to sit and relax and talk to others and kind of have your community. And then you have a full, robust comics, new and used. You have a couple things to deal with. You still got to deal with health code, but with something like coffee, it's a little bit easier. You don't really have the smell problem going on. You do have to hire extra staff to make coffee and do all that stuff. Your clientele may not align to comics, and this is kind of the tricky bit, which is this isn't the millennial kind of upscale, yuppie, fancy gourmet coffee crowd that tends to not be well aligned to comics. I know it seems that way on social media sometimes, and with the people that comic creators inordinately like to retweet and follow and chat with. They tend to be kind of these people who would be very at home in a coffee shop, spending hours talking about things. Those are not people who, though, typically buy comics. You not by any stretch of the imagination, no matter what they say on social media about I buy every copy of blah blah blah. I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna say I disagree. And the fact that you're not able to describe any part of the plot beyond what you read on Wikipedia tells me then no. Anyway, but that so you have to be careful. You don't want to kind of collide your audiences where you get kind of a hipster millennial type audience who's not going to be into comics. But one thing that is true of whales and comic buyers who are dedicated collectors and fans and people who are really into it, they do like to hang out and chat and converse and be able to have a good time. And so there's no inherent reason why that has to be kind of some card tables that are absolutely packed with Magic the Gathering and whatever else. It can that not be some nice comfortable chairs that IKEA or some nice unoffensive Swedish furniture, kind of cozy. I guess cozy and IKEA don't really go together, but anyway, some nice cozy chairs, nice comfortable environment, Coffee. Geeks drink coffee. It's true they do. They might also drink tea and other things. Um, so I think there's an interesting crossover audience. The other kind of thing that you got to get around is, okay, if you set your comic shop up like a library, then people are going to want to take the comics off the shelves, go to the chair, and read them. And that's where kind of more of the money comes in. I think if you have the time, patience, and most importantly, funding, then I think having a reader copies for all your comics, and kind of encouraging people to come in and be part of the community and read your comic. Yes, you will get some people who never buy anything, but most people feel some level of shame of going to a location and sampling all the product and just taking off. Most people will convert into buyers. And so if you have the kind of the patience and tolerance, and you could set yourself up as a kind of a nice, maybe slightly larger shop than usual, and nice chairs, something to drink, and something to kind of spend money on that way. And again, I keep stressing good environment, nice lighting, not fluorescent, but just friendly, cozy, comfortable, and then just kind of encourage people. And you could do this from a pure comic perspective. You could do this from a pop culture perspective. If you did want to kind of tip your fedora, so to speak, to the hipster crowd, then you could have some pop culture items, some of the current popular Netflix shows, or whatever whatever them kids are interested in, kind of running, and be a place where you can come and discuss that too, and try and actually sew these communities together a little bit. It is possible. Um, there's certain regions where this would do better than others, but if the one thing, if Starbucks has proven nothing else, it's that there is no part of the country that is not infiltrated by Starbucks. You can go to the Southwest, you can go to the Midwest, you can go to the southernmost down home homeboy kind of city you want to go to, and sure enough, there is a Starbucks there, and there are people sitting with their Starbucks, hanging out, having a chat. And so combining that kind of appeal of come in, buy something, relax, talk with others, get immersed in a culture and a community, I think that'd be pretty good. I think that if you're a new comic shop starting up, and you're kind of looking at, okay, do I want to go the route of being a comic shop with games and Funko, aka like every other shop in the 30-mile radius, or try something different? I think coffee, that kind of come in, relax, sit and read, is it's worth a try. Put it this way: if you're in a congested market, I think it's definitely something to try. Once you if you can get around the costs and the fact that your startup costs are going to need probably another 500,000 minimum to really set this thing up and make a go of it. But you know, there you go. That's my feeling on it. What about you? Would you shop in a shop like that? Would you give your business to a comic shop that also had coffee? Would you just buy coffee? Do you think this is completely wrong, that this would just attract a bunch of weird losers to your store who don't like comics and are just sitting there with coffee? Or maybe none of the above. Nobody shows up for coffee, nobody shows up for comics, and you're just sitting there with a big bill. What do you think? What's your opinion on it all? Would love to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Uh, like I said, leave me a comment. Leave me some things you'd like me to talk about. Follow me on social media, Comic Perch, and thank you for listening.